hate this magazine release.
Hi everybody, so today we're going to talk about the initial impressions of the SCT-17 frame, kind of how it stacks up against my ZEV. Now granted, I realize we're in two drastically different price points, but I did want to give you guys a comparison to where versus what I think is an excellent firearm, and then something that's the opposite end of the spectrum cost-wise. So first of all, huge thank you to Brownells. Brownells did send out the frame. I was able to get it through them. They're great people. They did send it out free of charge, so that is what it is. But they're a distributor, so they don't get to pick and choose what I say about these products. So if you guys think there's any sort of bias or anything like that, I have not given the SCT-19 like a favorable review in the past when I had the 19. The 17 feels a little bit different, but it still feels kind of the same. I'm just going to go over some pros and cons that I've felt so far while shooting it. Granted, I didn't shoot a lot, probably put about 100 rounds through it so far, but I want to go ahead and just give you guys my initial impressions. Now, these impressions can change over time, and I don't want you guys to think that there is anything wrong with having opinions that change, because I do. And apparently, if I have a change of heart in an opinion, like with the Geisley Mark IV Fed rail, people get very upset when you do. So I originally loved that rail, and then I ended up quickly hating it. So that's just one of those things. You have to go through and shoot guns in order to kind of figure out if you like them or not. So when it comes to the SCT-17 frame, I think SCT Manufacturing or St. Croix Tactical has made a pretty affordable frame that has extremely grippy stippling, and it's just been overall a really good firearm in the past. The SCT-19 ran pretty well. I did go ahead and pick up a Brownells 19 slide for that. In fact, I did sell that frame to one of my friends. I didn't particularly love that frame, but I know that it is a decent frame and it worked really well. And I just had an issue with it kind of biting into back here. Now, with this frame, I'm kind of having the exact same issue. I feel like they need to extend that beaver tail. One of the things is I'm getting a little bit of slide bite over here and over here, but I'm not having that same issue where this is digging into my hand, causing a lot of pain, but I am getting a little bit of slide bite. So that is one of the negatives about the SCT-17 frame. I don't know why they continue to make a Picatinny rail out front. I think that is the stupidest thing you could possibly do, and I'm just going to go ahead and state it. Stop putting Picatinny rails up here. Just use a universal rail. It's not like, I don't think there's a patent on it anymore, or if there is, find a way around it, but stop using these. It makes holster compatibility an absolute freaking nightmare. You have to go with specific P80 holsters, and nobody that makes good holsters makes P80 holsters. I don't care. I buy Tier 1 Concealed, and Tier 1 Concealed has like a P80 holster, but I don't know if it's compatible with this because it doesn't say. I'm not going to spend $100 on a product I'm not going to use, so there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and state, stop using Picatinny, make it a freaking universal rail, and don't make the frame so thick. That's all I'm saying. That's one of the huge things that pisses me off. Everything else, really good about this firearm. The stippling and everything is great. I do wish they added stippling in here. I don't know necessarily why they didn't, but on both sides, there's just no stippling in this bare area, which is a pretty big area where you put your hand. Like, yeah, your hand covers a lot of this, but then it also goes into this shallow end right in here. Now, this has been pretty well with recoil. I do like it. It does do well. Now, granted, it is nowhere near as good as the ZEV. The ZEV, to me, just kind of fits the hand perfectly, has this massive beaver tail that comes out the back, and it's a great firearm so far. But then you go into the opposite end of the spectrum when people cannot afford to build the ZEVs, and they're expensive. Now, I do have a couple of things on my way for whatever slide I do plan on running for this. I'm thinking about getting a Zaviri Precision. I know that company hates me, but I think about getting a Zaviri Precision 17L ported. That seems pretty cool. Just specifically because I think it's like $300 for a slide and a barrel, and then I can do everything else from there. The only thing I'll need is a 17L guide rod, I believe. But yeah, I do want to do it ported because I do plan on grabbing a, what's it called? The Radian Ramjet and Afterburner combo for this. So I want to do like a ported, like a bougie compensated gun and a not so bougie ported gun to see which one kind of performs better. Now, I know a lot of you guys are out there and be like, well, you should or should not do ported. There's a couple of reasons why I've kind of always stuck away from porting. Now, I don't think they're good reasons. One, I trained with a guy named Right to Bear out in California when I lived there, and he had ported, he got one of his guns ported, and one of his, when he went to go shoot from retention, he did have the barrel kind of pointing like, it was pointing at the target, but he had the ports kind of pointing up towards him, and a piece of jacket separated and went up, and it almost hit him right in the freaking eyeball. It was crazy. He had a big old gash on the side of his face, and that kind of made me kind of go, maybe I shouldn't do that. And then I thought to myself, well, it's time to quit being a pussy. So I need to go get some porting done somewhere. There's a ton of places that do porting. I think also what I could do is just send off this barrel and slide to get ported. I'm not a huge fan of porting it so far back here. I think I might have them take this all the way up to the front, and then we'll do port there. But I also want to try like a chunk port. Like, it'd be cool to have like a chunk port up front. Like, I don't know. There's just a ton of stuff that I'm thinking about, but I don't know 100% of yet. Again, it's just things that we're thinking about. So post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys would like to see. But this is kind of be our broke kind of setup, and we're going to see how this works. The SCT-17 frame, again, all of these things are just, they're so good on it right now. The only thing I don't love out of the box is the magazine release. It seems ultra squishy, and it has had a couple of instances of when it wasn't dropping mags freely. So that's just one of the things I think I'm going to have to continue to work through and as I break the frame in. But so far so good on the SCT-17 frame. I'm going to continue to do it now. I will tell you guys, if you're out there and you're like, I got this new slide and I got this new barrel and I got this new frame and I put it all together and everything kind of jams up on me. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. In fact, at the end of this video, go ahead and check out. I will have like an introduction as to what you should be doing to break in your initial firearm. Now, I did use a different slide and barrel for breaking in. So when I put on a new slide that hasn't been broken in before, I will go ahead and walk through that entire situation and how I do that. I can't remember if I filmed it for Instagram or YouTube, but it's one of those things, no matter what, it'll still be helpful information towards the end of the video, so you guys can go ahead and go pay attention to it. I just wanted to let you guys know, I think so far the SCT-17 frame seems like a decent frame. We're going to have to continue to see. But yeah, please go hit up our sponsors over there at Brownells. They're an amazing company. They have lights, optics, and all sorts of other cool stuff. They're a huge Surefire dealer, so if you guys are in the market for an X300 Turbo, or you want the Steiner MPS, which they just sent out, which I do have to go 0 here pretty soon. And yeah, so Dauntless Engineering, by the way, if you guys are wondering, look for Dauntless Engineering. They do have these Steiner plates for the ZEV posts. These do work on all ZEV slides. They also work on the Brownell slide. So I have one coming, I'll have one coming as soon as they make it for the 509T. Once they make that for the 509T, we're going to be swapping it over, and I'll be running the 509T on here, which I think is pretty cool, but that's just me. It's so funny because even Dauntless Engineering says the design of the 509T was pretty questionable, which I'm starting to hate that freaking optic too. I just want to find a gun that's going to live on that I'm actually going to shoot instead of have to sit here and stare at $400 of a paperweight that I bought. So it's just one of those things. I like the 509T. It's a good optic, but the mounting surface is absolute dog water. So I don't know why anybody would make that the way they did. SCT-17 frame, I have a bunch of parts on order to kind of smooth up the action. I think I'm gonna go with some Zaviri Precision parts. I have some ZEV parts coming in for like striker springs and a new striker for this, and I just things that I'm gonna get to kind of lighten it up to make it feel a little bit better. Just the problem is the the stock stuff that you get with a lot of these things are just so gritty and garbage, and that's just what happens. So you have to go in and you have to clean up a bunch of stuff. I do have some parts on the way from ZEV. ZEV is a great company. I do highly recommend, if you guys are out there, go look into them. They make a ton of cool stuff. I know that everybody is like, oh, but yeah, if you have the funds availability to go look at ZEV, by all means, go look at ZEV. It's probably one of the best guns out there. I have a review on it down below. But yeah, I absolutely like this right here. This is a great frame too, and we're going to continue to test it. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, let me know your comments down below. Do all the fun stuff. Go hit up our sponsors, Brownells, and do everything amazing. Use code BOP10. Again, BOP10 over there at Brownells. Thank you guys for everything. As always, have a great day. Be a hoodlum. All right, so I have the SCT-17 frame with aim surplus slide and then a dot on here. Now, this is what I do when I get a brand new firearm. Now, I've already done most of this, but what I want you to do is I want you to grab the slide, I want you to take it, I want you to just rack it. 30 to 40 times, you're gonna rack this just like this. You're gonna pull the slide all the way back, and you're gonna let it go home. Pull it all the way back, let it go home. And then halfway through, you're gonna make sure your gun is clear, and you're going to pull the trigger. You're gonna do the same shit halfway through, all right? You're just gonna keep doing that. You're gonna make sure that that happens. All right, so in the middle of that,
you're going to want to make sure that you have a ton of lube all over your gun. Like, I want it to look like it's been swimming in lube. Because you have a new gun, you've never shot it before, you've never done anything like that.